Bloody hell. Welcome everyone. I'm the Hero and I'm sick, so sorry if I sound odd. Today, our topic of discussion is an action RPG 3D hack and slash that is very grim, so to say, as today's topic is none other than Darksiders 2, the Deathinitive edition. The game was developed by VGL Games and published by THQ, and was released for Windows, PS3 and Xbox 360 in August 2012, and was later also released for the Wii U in November of the same year. But that's the original game. The version I'm gonna talk about, the Deathinitive edition, was released in October of 2015 and was published by the 10 Nordic Games, now THQ Nordic, for Windows, Steam, PS4 and Xbox One. Oh, and I'm starting the series with this game, so my story explanation might leave some things I should know by now out. The game follows the Nephilim called Death, one of the four horsemen, and the Grim Reaper. He embarks on a journey to save his brother War from punishment by the Charred Council for, according to them, killing the entire human race. Death wants to save War by bringing back the extinct human race into existence so that the crime War committed may be forgiven. So to sum it up, he wants for life to come from Death. I really should have played the first game first, now shouldn't have I? Oh well, more opportunities to say, oh so that's why, once I get to that. Okay, so what's the difference between the normal and the Deathinitive edition? Well, this version of the game includes all of the DLC, most of which has been integrated into normal gameplay, save for the additional campaigns like Argul's Tomb and the Abyssal Forge. The Deathinitive edition also includes better lighting, higher resolution textures, and so on. I've heard people compare this game to 3D Zeldas, and while I'm not an expert on Zelda, I'd disagree with that. If anything, I'd compare it to the 3D Prince of Persia games. This game is a lot like those, what with its ever-evolving parkour, fighting system, and actually a lot of puzzles as well. And if we're at puzzles, I have to say that I like the variety. But when you first get your certain set of skills, it will get repetitive. But the thing is, that areas in the world you've walked past before might hold secrets that can only be unlocked by additional tools you collect later on. Also, amateur science. I also found the gameplay to not be as repetitive as I expected. Sure, there's only so much colorful gameplay before it becomes a jack of all trades but master of none, but I think that this game did it right. Bored of fighting enemies? Parkour. Bored of parkour? Puzzles. Bored of puzzles? Fighting. Bored of all of the above going in circles? Bloody third-person bloody shooter, I shit you not. There's also always something new in the parkour. First you start at vanilla, but then you get to using the test claw and the portals, sometimes even combined. There's a lot of risky jumps you need to make, but that's the thrill of it, I guess. You go into the RPG part of the game. The enemies level with you, and you have stats. You upgrade these stats by equipping different items of clothing and weapons. Of these, there are different tiers. These tiers are mostly the usual stuff, common, rare, epic, legendary, the like. But this game has a tier of its own that's better than all else, which is the possessed tier. This tier is better because how you get the weapons aren't even their final form. You can feed possessed weapons other weapons and clothing to level the weapons up, and every time you level up, you get to choose which set of the weapon you want to increase, or what kinds of buffs you want to add to it. This of course doesn't mean that there won't be times when a fully leveled possessed weapon will be outshined by an epic or legendary weapon. It just means that the times when that will happen and it will actually be noteworthy are far and few in between. To go into the world, while I wouldn't call it an open world game, it's a bit of an insult to call it a linear game as well. In its world, I suppose I'd compare it to The Witcher 2, which its handling of its world was similar, and this game might even be more open, as you can freely traverse between the game's universes, I think. Well, you can, after a point anyway. The game also has side missions and a lot. So with that out of the way, how do you traverse the land? Well, Death has his horse, Despair, as well as his feet. I know, shocking. And is apparently an Olympic swimmer as well as being a parkour pro. Now that I'm done praising the game, let's look at the grim side of things. Get it? Grim side? The Grim Reaper is the protagonist? I'll show myself out. But yeah, well, I'm not sure how stable the original game was, but this game, yeah. Let's just say that Nordic games earned to call themselves the HQ. I've experienced slowdowns and the game has crashed on me twice, once on camera. And while this didn't date my perception of the game much, because, you know, I play wrestling games and those crash on you even before you bought the games, it might be more of a problem for other people, and I also need to consider that. So yeah, here's your warning. If you get physically ill when a game drops below 60 or even 30 FPS, or suffer a chain of mental breakdowns because once in 50 times you need to repeat a step in a puzzle, then you probably shouldn't get the Deathinitive edition of Darksiders 2. This is a good segue for me to move on to the next point that actually helps this. Saving. You can save whenever you want, but the game saves frequently as well. The only time I didn't continue exactly where I left off was a time during the Abyssal Forge DLC, when I was searching for the Chaos Emerald crystals, and I jumped into the poisonous water for a shortcut because I always forgot that it's poisonous. And even then, all I needed to do was go through 2 rooms and I was where I died. Dying also isn't the problem. You get sent back to the closest possible location to your demise, and the game has no fall damage, so you don't have to worry about that either. Nor do you have to worry about the bottomless pits, because Death just turns into his actual form and flies to your less safe position. All fine stuff. The game features cel-shaded graphics, or at least what I think are cel-shaded graphics, and it looks good. Not much else to say here really. I like the music. It fits and builds the atmosphere. But I prefer playing the game without any music. You know, it's not that the soundtrack's bad, it's just that I like it better when it's not there for some reason. So, let's round things up, shall we? Darksiders 2, the Deathinitive edition, is a re-release of the 2012 action RPG 3D hack-and-slash game with slowdown and crash issues, but also graphical upgrades, DLC integration, and a handful of other stuff. But so, what does Darksiders 2, okay, you know what, bugger it all. What does the Definitive Edition get when it comes to scores? Well, how about a 7 out of 10? I would have given it an 8, but slowdowns, crashing, and anger because of my inability to say Definitive Edition were enough to make me give it a lower score. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Goodbye.